Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
All right, guys. This is your girl, Moni.
And this is Kat.
So we're back for a fun episode. I'm super excited because we do have a book that was not on my radar, but I'm excited to talk about today, which is Scary Close, Dropping the Act and Finding True Intimacy by Donald Miller. So how excited are you, Kat, to talk about this book?
I'm at about an 8.3.
Okay. All right. Listen, it's more about us being here. We always tell you guys this. It's less about the books and more about we got together. We made it. We pulled our lives together to do the podcast. So that's always the most important thing. I'm going to read you guys a movie trailer statement about the book. So cue the music. Scary Close is a book about the risk involved in choosing to impress fewer people and connect with more. About the freedom that comes when you stop the act and start loving. It's a story about knocking down old walls to create a healthy mind, a strong family, and a satisfying career. I mean, who doesn't want that? I want that.
I wouldn't mind having that.
I mean, I'm working on it every day, actually. So this is really good. Before we kind of get into the book, every episode, you guys, we always like to dedicate it to our listeners. So shout out to you guys. We appreciate you coming back every week. And if you're new, thank you for checking us out. Also, I just want to shout out anybody doing something outside of their comfort zone. Because, we get stuck in the same routine all of the time and it can be hard to put yourself out there. So anybody learning something new, anybody, stretching themselves to become a better version of themselves, shout out to you. What about you, friend?
Yes, and to that dedication. And also, I wanted to dedicate this episode to my son, DeAndre. I got to spend his spring break. He came down for his spring break, and it was just really fantastic. I just admire him. I never was expecting to admire my children, but he is someone, you want to talk about authenticity. Like, I get he's so much wiser than me in so many ways. It's weird. So this one's for him.
Beautiful.
Dedication over.
Shout out to you for doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
The fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Shout out to you, DeAndre. We love you. So today we do have a guest, and I'm super excited to introduce him to you. We have Chris Spangle. You guys may know him from the Pat Down with Miss Pat and Dion Curry. He's also the digital director at the Bob and Tom Show and a freelance podcast host, producer, and consultant of We Are Libertarians and Legends and Leaders with Robert Vane. Let's talk about the resume here. All right. Welcome, Chris. Fake ass. Welcome to you. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been great to get to know you guys over the last year, and I'm so proud of the podcast that you put together since we first talked about it. It's so fun and love everything you're doing. And I'm a huge book nerd, as you can tell by my background. So
we like
very
it.
excited. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for being here. And for all the listeners, if you do enjoy our podcast, Chris was very instrumental in us having the confidence to do this and giving us a lot of really important pointers. So really happy to have you here.
And you guys are so well prepared and have production meetings and way more professional than my podcast. So it's really cool to see.
Well, you have 75 of them. We just have the one, so we can it's like our only child.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely. And so, with that being said too, Chris, so what made you say yes? When I reached out to ask you about being on this podcast, enlighten me on why you decided to come join us today.
Well, I remember being a baby podcaster back in 2007, 2008, and started my show, the Chris Spangle Show, in 2012. It just celebrated its 10th anniversary. And in those early days, you're so excited if somebody says yes. So I always really try to remember those baby podcaster days when I was starting out. And if I have any clout, I want to lend it to people that I think do a really good job and, help promote you and help bring some of my listeners to you guys, because I've watched your social media and see what you guys do. And we had a conversation for an hour or so about a year ago, and your whole goal is more literacy. It's the same exact goal that I have with my show, the Chris Spangle Show. I read all the time. I'm constantly trying to learn. I'm trying to get other people to read more, challenging them to get into books because it's so much healthier than just like constantly reading social media and the news. And
Oh my God.
so I really believe in your mission, and I think you guys do such a fun job with it. And I think you're both delightful. And we talk on Instagram all the time. And I always enjoy the dialogue with both of you individually. So it's an honor. Like for me, it's an honor to be invited on your show. So I wouldn't, like I view it like, oh, somebody wants to talk to me. That's so nice.
I hope everyone's enjoying this love fest.
Thank you. This is like, oh my God, tell us more, Chris.
Yes.
No, just kidding.
But that's
well,
great.
the check was very healthy, so I've got 5 more.
Okay.
right.
Because that's how it's coming off. But generally, we really do respect and admire each other. So that's why it's like this.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. So thank you again for being here. So before we get into the book, I kind of wanted to, so we had your co-host Deon Curry on our show. So he came through, I want to say it was in December, toward the end of last year. He picked a book. Kat hated it more. I like to put it on her. She hated it so much more than me that I don't have to talk about the fact that I mean, it was cool. It was all right. But he was really fun to talk to. And so we did this game with him before we started talking about the like actual book and stuff like that. So we basically asked him a would you rather question. So I wanted to do this really quickly before we talk about the book he picked. So Kat, did you find one for him too?
I did. I made a custom would you rather.
You did. I did too.
I did.
Okay. We're doing it.
So Chris,
you go first.
Chris, would you rather be in a dance contest with Miss Pat, or would you want to compete in a roast battle with Deon?
So like I'm going up against Miss Pat in a dance contest?
No, she's your partner.
Oh. I don't think I could compete with Deon in a roast battle in any way, shape, or form. I know that I can't dance, and I know that I have hips like rocks, like, but Miss Pat is actually a pretty good dancer. She's got some moves. Like she was just in a dodgeball tournament, and you watch her dodging these dodgeballs like bullets. I would much rather be in a dance competition and do something that I absolutely hate, which is dancing, much to my wife's she hates that I don't like to dance because she's such a dancer. But like I'd rather do that because I don't think I could. I think I would be more embarrassed by trying to compete against Deon in a roast battle than I would in a dance competition.
Okay, that was very logical and well thought out. That was the correct answer.
Yes. I know. Ding, 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 ding. You got that right. 3 points for Chris.
Right.
So I actually have another custom question for Chris too. So my question would be, and it involves Miss Pat because we had to do it, but would you rather spend 7 days, like a full week selling crack with Miss Pat, like back in her heyday? Or would you rather let your worst enemy manage your social media accounts, all of them, for like 7 days straight with no interference
I see,
from
like,
you?
Because, all right, so maybe this is weird, but to me, letting somebody manage my social media that doesn't like me is a bad thing. Selling crack with Miss Pat for a week is a good thing. So, like, I don't see those as, like, morally both bad. Like, as a libertarian, you should be free to sell crack if you want. Obviously, but you shouldn't. I love characters. I have always loved weird, interesting people. My dad ran a janitorial service when I was a kid, so I spent a lot of time with the employees who were all like very quirky and weird. Like I always loved Howard Stern's like Whack Pack. Like I love interesting people. And I think it would be so much fun to spend a week on the street with Miss Pat talking to like all these interesting people that I don't necessarily know. Like I like to invade spaces that I don't really have awareness of. So
that's beautiful.
So yeah, I would much rather spend a week out on the corner with Miss Pat. I might make some money.
You listen, she's a businesswoman. You probably would learn some stuff. I was more like, would you be intimidated about
I was like, which one would
space?
you more likely survive?
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like,
I would more. I'm wily. I may be from Plainfield, but I have some street awareness.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
So,
all right.
What's the term for it?
Street smarts.
Street smarts. That. Thank you.
You got that.
All right. So 3 points for you again. You win. Fantastic.
Yeah, you won the game.
You won the game. Yeah, it was fun because when Dion did come onto the show, it was really because the cat again, she went on and on about how much she hated this book, and the book that we ended up reading was Milk in My Coffee.
Eric Jerome Dickey.
Milk lemonade. Yeah, I looked at the description. I was like, what is this? Like, he goes on a date with a woman who's white, and that's a problem for a man with a Malcolm X picture on his wall. Why would that be a problem? Malcolm X did not hate white people.
It's a problem, Chris.
In the 90s.
Because it indicates the level of his blackness. That's why. It's like if you have a poster of Malcolm X, that means you're the ultimate black.
The lightest Negro leader on the planet.
Right. And so you're not allowed now.
I mean, the message I always got from him was like, we just want to be left alone and not terrorized. Like, but, you know, we're not. I mean, especially after he went to Mecca and saw we're all one, you know, like, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Even the description was weird. Why did you hate it, Kat?
Because it was stupid. It was just so poorly written. Like, that bothered me more than anything. I mean, and when you take something that's poorly written and then put misogyny with it, and I felt really bad for two reasons. For one, Dion was our guest, and I was like, I felt bad for hating it so much because I didn't even finish it. It was getting to be like a problem. It was making my life bad. And
I thought that was funny, by the way. That made me laugh. I was like, you hate it.
But it gave me some insight to why some people hate reading. We all talked about like how much we love books and reading. And that's why we're doing this podcast. But I'm like, this is the first time I've ever hated reading. So I was like, oh, what if other people feel this way when they are given books? Like, then maybe they think they hate reading. They just haven't had a chance to experience something good. And that's why it was just and it turns out he'd also written some comic books because I'm also a comic book nerd. So I went to go read some of the comic books he'd written. Also terrible. I had actually bought them in the past and remembered hating them. And I was like, he's really bad at writing from a female perspective. You know how like some writers are really good at, like Stephen King is like that. He can write from a female perspective really well. It doesn't feel pandering.
The guy from Game of Thrones has one of my all-time favorite quotes. George R.R. Martin. He asked how he wrote female characters so well. He said, well, first I consider them people, and then I
boom,
just go from there. And then it goes there. And I do enjoy how he writes. I love George R.R. Martin's books. Is he done writing books? Is he going to write anymore? Is he done?
No, I think he gave advice on the last, like where he kind of wanted things to go, but I think he's going to have a different ending than what ended up in the show.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah, so that was my problem with it. The female characters were really unrealistic and unpleasant. And it was also like really the race stuff was really dumb too, even for it to be in the 90s. It turns out Dion had read this in high school. That was our kind of working theory that it was something he had read a long time ago. Yeah. And we all do that. A lot of times with movies, I go back to movies I thought were really great. And it turns out I was just really young when I watched them. They're not very.
It just impacts you at the time. And,
And I think because it was like reading a Medea play. That's what it was like.
Boom. It really was.
Because they're wildly popular. Like he's a really popular author and he has a lot of books that people really, really enjoy. And I'm just like, but no one noticed it's not very, like there's better things to choose from. Like if you wanted to read something by black men, there are black men who write better than this.
Oh man, it was hilarious to me, the whole thing. And he was a really good sport about it. It made for a really good conversation because again, the contrast is what ends up being fun.
You know, from a podcast coaching perspective, your goal is to entertain your listeners first and foremost. And Controversy Creates Cash is a book by Eric Bischoff. And so the conflict between you and Dion, I'm going to go listen to it because it's two of the smartest people that I've met going after each other. I'm excited to hear it.
You will love it.
I'm trying to write that down. Conflict
and I'm just in the back, instigating.
Yep, by Eric. Yep, right here.
Let's see.
Okay. Nice.
Look at him. He looks like he knows what he's talking about too.
Yep.
He looks like one of the bosses from WWE.
He does.
He was. Yeah.
Was he really?
He was. This guy, Eric Bischoff, created WCW, and in the heyday, took it to Vince
I was just
McMahon.
Kidding. Really?
Yep. And he created a product that went right up against Vince McMahon and beat them.
Wow.
Until Vince hired him. So yeah.
And that's what you do. Exactly.
By the competition.
If you can't beat them, join them.
The book is terrible, but it is interesting. Yeah.
Sometimes books that aren't fantastic can still have some entertainment value.
Yes.
So Well, let's start talking about the book we're here to talk about,
Okay.
Scary Close. Let's see. So I want to give you guys just a little bit about the author. He's an American author, public speaker, and business owner. He's the CEO of Story Brand, which is a marketing company. And he's also the author of personal essays and reflections about faith, God, and self-discovery. So I was picking up on those vibes heavy.
And he lives in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where my mom and her people are from.
Nice.
Yeah.
Midwest vibes.
Well,
Okay. I like
Southern.
it.
They do not like to be called Midwestern. Do not do that. They are Southern.
We can't do that?
No.
Okay, that's true. Once you pass
They are
Kentucky.
No, they were
Where's
on the other
Kentucky
side
now?
of the
Mason
conflict.
Dixie. They're on the Mason-Dixie
Okay,
line. They're
okay.
Southern.
Okay. So yeah, it was
The tea is sweet.
You have it's sugar water, basically.
Yes.
The tea.
Yes.
hmm So, Kat, do you have the number of pages and all that kind of stuff?
I do. So it looks like this was
Stats, would you like
published
to share them
February
with
10th,
us?
2015, and there were 249 pages.
Were there?
Yes.
That's interesting
Yes.
because guess what I found?
What?
Mine says 229 pages.
Where are
So
you getting this?
Who's the liar?
Where I pull all my stuff
Who's-
from Amazon. Amazon is our beneficiary overlords. So our
I got the
beneficent.
book.
Okay.
The acknowledgments ends on
What does it
229.
say?
He said
229.
229.
Boom, see?
What was
Listen,
wait?
so
What
where
was
did-
your number?
Jeff Bezos, 229.
Oh, damn it! So why does Amazon
Yeah.
keep lying to me?
They're liars. Jeff
Whatever,
Bezos,
whatever, Jeff
damn you.
Bezos. I believe you. In the face of all this evidence, I still choose to believe in our benevolent overlord, Jeff Bezos. Who,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm rigidly sticking in my
Man, F
position.
That's fine. So, just for the listeners, the recap on that was Kat was wrong, and I was right. So there's that. So yeah, but this book was a really easy read. I felt like I got it done pretty quickly. It didn't take very long. I listened to the book maybe actually it's been about a month ago. So I kind of went back over it a little bit just to kind of get refreshed. What about you, Kat? Did it take a long time for you to read it? When you
Oh, I
started?
also did the audio book because
Yeah.
we discussed earlier. Our lives are very busy.
You guys know.
I had to, do
Sure.
chores and listen to it. And I sped it up a little because I think it was maybe about 4 hours on Audible.
Just
and
about.
so a little bit less than that.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I've listened on audiobook and read the book, and he reads it. And anytime there's an audiobook where the author reads their work, it's better.
I like it.
Yeah,
I agree.
I always prefer it over a narrator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here. Because you can kind of hear their essence in it, and it's from their perspective. So that is
and a lot of
always
it's
really interesting.
autobiographical too.
Yeah,
It is. It was like a diet memoir to me because it wasn't like I feel like a lot of memoirs, like he didn't really go into depth about his child. It wasn't this in-depth story. It was kind of like it felt like an outline almost. You know what I mean? So like there were certain points and he mostly focused in on his adult life and his career and his love life and trying to come into his own as a man and in his own interpersonal
Well, it's
relationships.
interesting
So I
because
thought
this is the year Chris just got married. So I'm sure this book probably was very interesting to you. Like, was this in your mind as you were preparing to propose and get married?
So Donald Miller was a guy that I heard about a long time ago. He wrote Blue Like Jazz, which is a famous Christian book that, like, when I first became a Christian in 2002, 2001, like, it was kind of popular shortly, like, in those early years. And so I got divorced in 2014 and went through like a real rough patch, went through my Kanye period, but I was different than that. I was like, I was kind of a mess in the way that I implode and was very much like, not like the creepy outward stalky guy, but like,
right.
But what I found in this book, I heard him on a podcast, on a Christian radio show, and I clicked on it because it was Donald Miller and listened to it, and I had just broken up with somebody that I was really infatuated with and really liked. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I remember I was doing construction cleanup with my dad and heard this conversation, and it was me to a T. Like, everything about, like, it was my story. and went home, downloaded the book on Audible, or not Audible, on Kindle, and I read it in 2 hours. And then I just like it blew me apart and helped reshape me in a lot of ways. So it's an important book in my life that kind of set me on a path that allowed me to get married this year. Because what I realized reading this book is that I was very much like that person who, because I didn't want to be known, because I didn't feel like anybody would actually want to get to know me, like I didn't have any self-worth at that point. And I still struggle with, what was the line? It's a beautiful moment when somebody wakes up to this reality, when they realize God created them so other people could enjoy them, not endure them. And I have always felt like a bother to people. And that creates, in relationships, a lot of fear and a lot of control issues, not in like the angry control guy issue, but like in the beta male type control issue, the passive aggressive guy that like is fearful of the relationship. So there's a lot of push and pull, and is just as ugly and destructive towards intimate relationships as, the guy that blows up at everything or that is controlling. So, I read this and I realized like I had that mask on where I was trying to present a different version of myself to different people because I thought that's what they wanted, because I was trying to please them. And this is the book that made me realize there's a different way. And I immediately got therapy. I went through 4 years of therapy. For the first 2 years, I was going twice a week, working on all my issues. And yeah, I mean, when I look back at like the different man that I am, it's because of this book. It impacted me that much.
Wow, that's a heavy endorsement.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and then that's why I like to ask that question too, because usually if you're recommending a book, there's something about that book that speaks to you, that resonates. So, and I would like,
yeah, he has a new book called, and his marketing stuff is just as good. He's one of the best marketers that I've ever. The story brand stuff has really been influential in my podcasting career. And it was cool because he just released a book called Hero on a Mission the same day as a guy named Michael Matthews. And Michael Matthews wrote it's Muscle for Life is the new book, but his fitness book was the one that got me on the path to like losing 75 pounds.
I saw your old pictures. Great job.
Thank
you.
I was. That's hard.
It is.
330.
So
yeah,
for you.
I was real ugly.
And you weren't ugly, but you're just better now. Like you're just like there's nothing. You don't have to shit on old Chris because he got you here.
Yeah, but so it was cool that they released a book on the same day, and I got them in Amazon on the same day because those two authors more than anybody else impacted my personal life.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of what he talked about in the book had to do with what you were talking about as far as like, showing up as your authentic self, or the fear of showing up as your authentic self sometimes, and being in a space where, you're trying to give people what you think that they want. So I think that's a message that's super relatable for a lot of people, because even if it's not in your interpersonal relationships, maybe it's with your parents. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to be this perfect daughter or son or whatever, so I think it was really relatable. I liked that he talked about that. And also too, just how that leads to like clinginess and codependency. Like he talked a lot about that in the book. And which isn't relatable to me because I'm such an anti-clingy person. In fact, I think I have a radar for people like that. Like I can usually sense when people are like ultra needy, and it repels me because it tells me, and it doesn't make them a bad person. Like everybody's on a different path. It doesn't make them a bad person, but it's like, I know I can't, if you're looking for me to complete something inside of you or to be something for you, like if it's not the cherry on top, like if our relationship isn't just like, I like being around you, you add value to my life, but it's like, no, I need you. That makes me go in the other direction.
That's why that girl, that's why that girl broke up with me. She could see that I was asking her to fulfill something that I couldn't fulfill myself. And it's not, I wasn't anywhere near ready to have a healthy relationship because I didn't understand what one looked like. And so what this book did for me is a lot of men, what I love about Donald Miller is that he wrote this book and was willing to be vulnerable and open about his struggles and his problems, because men aren't often willing to do that. And it's only gotten worse through the Trump presidency and like all these fools running around saying how much they love Putin because he's just a real man. Like real men kill children in wars. Like it's the idea that
journalists.
Right. What a real man is this like fake idea of machismo, of John Wayne, a strong and silent type, and and that's not really what a man is. And I think Donald Miller writes from a healthy male perspective about what it means to be in intimate relationships, not just one-on-one relationships, but like with your coworkers, with yourself, with your kids. And it made me realize I was blaming you just don't love me. You're the problem. This made me go, oh, I'm the problem, because no other man had ever said that to me. And so I had to like have some humility and go work on myself. And doing that, in therapy, like it led to the great life that I have and the great relationship that I have. And accepting the fact that Reagan loves me is just as difficult a lot of times, just because you never get rid of those bad feelings about yourself. You just learn how to kind of correct those thinking errors. So it's a really, really great book for that perspective.
I like that. I think that's really great that you recognize that.
It reminds me a lot of when we read Will Smith's book. A lot of the things he was talking, a lot of those same themes. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm trying to get to know men better now, because like you, Chris, I've been divorced. Like you, it takes so much work for men and women to understand each other. And even if you think you're doing the work, I'm still learning so much. And so listening to stories like yours, reading this book, listening to, Will Smith talk about, his own, he felt like he needed a woman to validate him. Like he wasn't happy unless there was a woman like validating what he was doing was worthwhile. Even though he's making, all this money and he's an international superstar, it kind of didn't matter unless he was getting that validation. And this is kind of a sillier reference, but it's the same ethos of the Mr. Poopy Butthole monologue from Rick and Morty. Where he talks about like, what would we do if the people around us really knew the real us and not just the person we're projecting that we think they want to love? And
you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody, because they're thinking about their own stuff. Exactly. And that's what I learned is like, nobody's thinking about me in the way I think they're all thinking about me, and they're not, and I think the idea too is like a stepdad now of a 3-year-old, and I've been around her for, since she was about 2.5 months old. This quote, as you have to realize like this kid has her own personality. She's her own human being. She's her own, even at that young, like it makes you mad when they don't do what you say, but like she's still an intelligent human being. And like this quote from the book, but love doesn't control. I suppose that's why it's the ultimate risk. In the end, we have to hope the person we're giving our heart to won't break it, and be willing to forgive them when they do, even as they will forgive us. Real love stories don't have dictators, they have participants. Love is an ever-changing, complicated, choose-your-own-adventure narrative that offers the world but guarantees nothing. And it's scary to like be a step-parent or a parent. You're saying your son, you admire your son. Like, you can never let the kid know when they're 3 years old that you have no control over them whatsoever already, right? Like, you're just hoping that you can like put the bumpers up to knock them into making the right choices, even that young. And that's something that this book prepared me to do, is just to accept that, I just have to be as loving to her as possible, and you have to take the risk that this person hopefully ends up being somebody that you admire.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah,
it's absolutely. It's terrifying, but but that's life. Like, you're not going to escape danger in this life. Like, in trying to avoid it just makes your life worse. So you might as well just, and I like you said too, because ain't nobody, that's why my mom used to tell me this all the time when I was little, ain't nobody studying you. And it's like, yeah. And I tell my daughter that now too. It's like, you are so concerned about everybody else. Worry about yourself. And get yourself together. And don't try to. And little girls are like that too, because they try to police everybody. And little boys are like, she keeps telling me what to do. It's like, you don't have to listen to her, and you don't have to run him. Like, take care of yourselves.
Yeah, agreed. And it's crazy that you brought up Will Smith, because I didn't know you had that in your notes. But the other part that he mentioned too, on top of just like looking for that female validation was the chasing applause part.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I was like, damn, because that's what Will talked about that a lot, and how like even when Chris, did you read the book? Have you read Will by Will Smith?
I have not.
It's really, really good. It's a fantastic audiobook. Highly recommend it. You should check out our episode on that one too. But it's you know, he threw a party for Jada when she turned 40, and it was like, I mean, anybody I know would have been like, oh my God, I can't believe my husband did this, because he rents out this villa and he has musicians come. Who came? Was it Mary J. Blige or somebody?
I believe so. I think it was Mary J. Blige. He made a documentary about her life.
About her life. It was like it was grand.
It was a weekend. Like she brought in artists, like her favorite artists, to like do like art shows, and it was incredible. But it's not what she wanted.
It was not what she wanted, and she was pissed the whole time. And everybody was like, well, I would.
Yeah, she seems like they seem to have a weird relationship, but I don't know if it's too good or too dysfunctional. I can't tell.
It seems like
the book gives a lot of insight.
It does. Like, he just wasn't listening to her, and she was trying to tell him what she wanted, and he was like, no, you want this. And
right.
She was like,
and how that's not about me anymore. Like, you're doing this for you. This is about your ego. This is how people perceive you and how people perceive our relationship. So like when you're chasing that applause, when you're waiting, you want everybody to look at you and admire you.
To be
jealous
of how, jealous of like, oh my God, best husband in the world.
Yeah, and it wasn't really about her, because she never wanted that. And
look at what I do for a living. Like, I've been in radio for 20 years. I mean, I didn't realize like the amount of, I mean, somebody, a pat down person, I have not forgotten this, even though it was 3 years ago. You know, I don't like Chris because he's a clout chaser. And I totally see how somebody could kind of like get that perception. Like, I'm just trying to make a living at something that I like doing, but I have to really watch myself on social media or through my career. Like, am I doing this because the validation of an audience is a drug? Is this like self-medication? Is this attention seeking? Is it, you know, attention seeking can be behavior that pushes people away too, through trolling. So this book kind of woke me up, and you know, the thing that stood out to me the most from the book that I've never forgotten was like the therapy session with the rings, and like, here's your outer ring and here's your inner ring, and then here's yourself and your soul. And like, I've always tried to like the person that is on the outer ring that I allow people to see is different than the inner ring. You know, but it's got to be healthy, and you've got to be integrated. And part of why Miss Pat chose me to be on our podcast is I think I'm comfortable being myself in public now, and I don't really care what you think about me. It's not like you can't hurt me, but I'm also not looking like, I think I've got a healthy balance of, you know, trying to get an attention from my audience versus, you know, but who knows? Like, but when you're in entertainment, when you're in media, it can be a real problem in trying to balance all that stuff, because you make it about you, because so many people will make it about you, and they're so complimentary. And when you've got hundreds of people that you talk to that know you, know who you are, you don't know them, and they're very complimentary, that stuff really starts to go to your head. And I'm at a very like low level of like, I'm sort of known. Like, I'm not like Miss Pat or Will Smith famous, right? Sure. But it still becomes that a validation, because some, you know, and if you go through a period where you don't get it because you're not getting enough comments on your podcast, or you're not getting enough, you sort of go, where's my supply? You know, so you got to really keep that stuff in check. And so I think that's one reason I also connected to the book, is that he's a person that thinks in public, that puts stuff out, creative work, wants that validation, and it can be problematic for a person that like attention seeking is and people pleasing is like the thing that they love. You become an addict to it if you don't keep it in check.
Yeah, I agree. Kat, were there any themes that I didn't touch on? I know that we've in the past talked about Joseph Campbell and like the hero's journey. I think he did kind of like touch on that. I don't know if you caught that in there, but yeah, the monomyth, and just how you have. It does. It's in, you know, it's a big part of stories, and he kind of touched in on that. And you mentioned a book though, Chris. You said he's about
Hero on a Mission.
I wonder if that's kind of like
he's a big guy. He's a big Joseph Campbell guy, and he's recommended Christopher Booker's book, The 7 Basic Plots. How there's like 7 basic stories. Like his story brand stuff, he's broken down the framework of storytelling and put it into marketing terms. And he's based it all around the hero's journey. And like the hero's journey, the new book is basically about find yourself a guide. You're the hero in your own story. You need to find a Yoda to help you like defeat your enemy, and your enemy may be yourself, and that sort of thing.
Very real. I think one of the themes would probably be authenticity and vulnerability, because I think a lot of times it's this idea that we want people to perceive us as perfect for some reason, even though we know no one's perfect, and the expectation for perfection to me has always been so absurd that like, because to me this book was interesting just to read someone else's perspective, because it didn't really speak to me, because all of this stuff is just things that I already internally knew. Like I knew from a long time ago that trying to impress people is a trap. Yeah, this idea of, because I went to like an all-white school, like I know you did too, Chris. And so like when you're in those environments, I'm already such an outcast that it was never even really an option to be a people pleaser. That was never going to happen anyway if I tried it. And one of the reasons I've always liked you, Chris, is you remind me of the white dudes I got along with in school. Who were always like would talk to me, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times being in school, it's not necessarily people are mean to you, they just won't even like talk to you at all. So
if there was a new kid in school, I was the one that would talk to you.
Yes, exactly. And that's the vibes I get off of you too. Like you can sit here, like those are
that's me.
Yeah,
that's
those
me.
are the vibes. Well, that's why I've always liked you, but like Chris is new, so I'm telling him why I like him. And so, but yeah,
more, please, more.
Yes, exactly. But it's just that same vibe, because it would always just be very sort of bookish white dudes who were usually cool with me. And we just sit in the back, and they would pay me to like draw stuff for them. And it would just always be this sort of like understood thing, because the pretty white girls wouldn't talk to them either. So it was just, we were just kind of in this.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was never like a popular kid. I sort of ended up popular, but like I was sort of an outcast in middle school and didn't have any friends. And like I learned jokes, and so all of freshman year I'd have like a joke of the day. So kids would come up and ask me like for a joke, and I realized like, oh, if I offer something, then people will talk to me, and it's performing a little bit and being funny, and that's my selling point. And you know, I really dug into that, and so I kind of became a well-liked person by senior year. But it was because I had to do something, you know. There was just always like that inherent like, and it probably is my own mentality just from my parents. I have great parents. I have no qualms about it. But like every parent has things that kind of tease things out in their kids that kind of make you the way that they are. But yeah, like kind of being in the middle. You know, not really somebody that like a popular girl's gonna date, not on the football team, not necessarily a nerd, just kind of like friends with everybody. You sort of, I don't know, you learn to adapt a little bit. But yeah, that's that kind of performance, I think, is where a lot of this started for me, is like that notion of if I don't offer up some comedy, I'm not gonna have any friends. And that stuck with me to this day.
Wow. Yeah. I think it's funny how we all end up like, you know, like with Kat saying this too, because she was mentioning to me like how that part of the book didn't resonate in the sense of like that was something that ever related to her. But even though I've been in similar situations as Kat, being in all white schools and stuff like that, the only black kid, like I don't know that I ever was trying to be liked. I feel like I gave that up maybe in second grade. Like I realized it didn't matter what I did. There were always just going to be people who didn't like me. But I still have this thing where it's like I'm trying to be, I want everything to look a certain way. You know what I mean? I want to give the perception that everything is like, okay, I'm together. Everything, nothing to see here, guys. I got this all figured out. You know, because I'm a control freak. Like I like to feel like I have control. When I know it, I don't technically. You know what I mean? So it resonated to me in that way, because a lot of being in interpersonal relationships is relinquishing control. Like I've been married for
500 years.
14, 15 years. And I've been with my husband since high school. It's like one of those situations. So and we've grown up together, and I've had a lot of like what you're talking about, we've had to learn together too. But one thing that I can say is that I think what we like about each other is that he's not waiting for me to complete him. Like, I know that he was talking about that toward the end of the book. Like, you complete me, like that corny shit from what movie was
Jerry
that?
Maguire.
Jerry Maguire, yeah,
it's like, and just how damaging, like how media like really does feed you a really unhealthy idea about what real interpersonal relationships are. It's constantly negotiating and choosing every day to be involved, to be engaged, to show up. And as much as you give at work, you come home and give that same thing, give it that same energy. It's not fair for you to go to work and give it 100% and then come home and be too tired to engage with your kids or engage with your family. And most of us are trying to balance that. And it's not easy, and it's not romantic, and it's certainly not always fun. But when you build that community of people around you who that even when you're not making the marks and being perfect all the time, they're still there. They're still there to cheer you on. They're still there to support you and be there with you for the ride. And I mean, shoot, I always joke, not joke. Well, I do joke about this. I'll always be like, if my husband like were to leave me for a younger woman and start a new family, like after we had my second daughter, I was like, well, like I knew I didn't want to have any more kids. So I had a procedure done instead of making him, because I was like, you know what? He might decide he wants to do something else and start a new family. I know what I won't be doing. I'm not having no more kids.
Kat, she is avoidant as, like, if you've ever read, I recommend the book Attachments.
Oh,
I'm avoidant.
I'm anxious and avoidant.
I'm anxious attachment, but Moni sounds avoidant as fuck.
Avoidant.
I mean, but she's the one with the longest marriage up in here.
Right. But you know what? Like, I do think that the one thing that makes Reagan and I work is we have parallel lives. Like, we're not in each other's business. I don't need anything from her. She doesn't need anything from me. That does sometimes, like last night, like this week, we were like, we need to go on a date because we have not had a conversation because we're working on our businesses and we're doing our stuff. And like, you can't lose touch with each other. But we're not looking for anything from each other, and that's what makes it work. It's not like past my last marriage where it was like I was angry all the time because she wasn't fulfilling my needs and I wasn't fulfilling her needs, and it ended because she wasn't happy, and so she found some. It's like, well, that's a very nebulous thing, like you got to make yourself happy. You got to do your own work. And so that's why Reagan and I work really well.
And speaking of work, you mentioned therapy. You did the work of therapy. That is a lot of work. And here at the F.A.B podcast, we love therapy.
Yeah. Because I would rather die than tell you the problem I had with you. Wow. I'd rather, and I still do that. I would rather keep it to myself and not cause problems, because if I make you mad by telling you that something you're doing wrong, you're going to leave me.
Oh.
So it's a little bit about having courage to kind of say, hey, this is not something that I like. And then you can negotiate it from there, and they can agree or not agree or whatever. But, having the courage to kind of speak up and say, this is a problem for me is not something I was able to do till this relationship. And Reagan is the first person I ever just truly let myself be. Like, I just was myself from the beginning. I didn't hide anything. I told the truth whenever asked, so she fully knew me for the 2 years we dated before we got married, because it was a conscious choice not to hide the things that were bad about me or that were imperfect or and then you don't have to keep track of the lies, right? Like, even if they're not big lies, it's exhausting. I think, when he talks about the mask, it's just exhausting having the mask on, trying to present a certain face to somebody, especially if you're living with them. You're just worn out mentally from keeping track of all the things that you had to hide or that lie about or whatever. It's just impossible to have a relationship if you're doing that.
True.
Yeah.
Another thing I like too is he was like, you need to not try to change your partner. Like the way you said, going into it, it's like, this is me. Is this, is this cool? Because in my past relationships, that's been a big thing. They wanted to change me. It's like, well, then why'd you even pick me? This is it doesn't make any sense. This is just kind of how I am. I do want to improve and get better, but it's just going to be some version of me. There's
some fundamental things that are not negotiable and are not going to change. You you only have so much energy to change certain habits, right?
Yeah,
but
true.
if you don't like that I'm a sarcastic person, then it's just not going to work.
It's not gonna work out.
I joke
Yeah.
all the time, and if you don't like
Right.
that, it's Reagan likes it, so it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our advice
Yeah,
here.
that's
Is find
pretty
someone who likes you.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Honestly, I feel
Honestly.
like that was the question I asked myself, like when I was gonna marry my husband, because we were together for a long time before we actually got married, and it was, everybody's like, why aren't you guys married? It's like, well, love don't spoil. We get married when we get ready, but also, you ask yourself, like, if this person never changed, like if this is how they are, 50 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever, am I okay with that? And I feel like if the answer is yes, then you probably have a pretty decent partner, because that what they're not going to do is change. Like you say, we all kind of evolve into hopefully better versions of ourselves, but inherently we're still always the same. So you want to find somebody who sees you. And that's the most important thing when picking any kind of relationship. I mean, I feel like I don't have to transform to be anything other than who I am around the people who I know who love me. And that honestly, to me, I can't think of anything more valuable than that in my life.
Well, you know what you're
Is just having
describing
that.
is freedom. And since
Freedom.
we have a libertarian
I like
on here, I think we all pretty much value freedom. We love it
Yeah.
over here.
Absolutely.
Well, there's another great book that just popped in my head called The Undervalued Self by Elaine Aron. And the premise of the book is that every relationship you're either ranking or linking. And so, like, when we started this podcast, why do you want to come on this podcast? Like, you ranked me above your podcast, right?
Sure.
And I don't look at it that way. I don't rank myself like, I don't have time for these little people. I think of it like, I want to link with these cool people. I want to build a relationship with people but the way that I used to think was like ranking myself low, ranking people high. And if I want to be ranked higher, I need to act like those people, because I didn't think that I was good enough to just link with people, right? Sure. And what I've learned as I've gotten older is that there's somebody for everybody. In podcasting, I don't need to do a libertarian podcast in the way that every other libertarian podcaster does it, because they're copying the most popular guy. I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to find my audience, and so be the consequences, because there's people that like that. Reagan likes me. Like, she messaged me 30 minutes ago and said, can we go for a walk? I really just want to spend time with you. I really enjoyed last night. Like, she wants to link with me, right? Like, there's...
So cute.
I'm just, and I felt like I was kind of annoying last night, but she's like, I want more of that, So
You're like, okay.
yeah, you just have to, the fear of accepting that you're good enough, I think, for people is really hard.
For me, I feel like I'm usually waiting for
wanna
people
double
to
down
get
on
on board. How, like, I really do. The other day, because I find myself lost in thought a lot of times, and I was thinking, because I'm single and I'm not dating, and a lot of times I'm having trouble because I'm like, I really don't think any of these dudes are gonna love me as much as I love myself. I love me, so I am deeply in love with the experience of being myself. And like, the mistake I've made in the past is just being like, well, they don't have to love me as much. I already love myself so much. Like, I love me enough for the both of us. And
I admire and hate you.
Same.
But the reality is, like, you should not settle for anything less. Like,
Yeah.
because eventually it's just a numbers game. You go out on 150 first dates, and then you'll meet your Reagan.
I don't have a lot of time to date either, because that's the other thing. I'm like, and to me, I'm okay though. Like, that's not like, we make a list to talk about being honest about like what we want in life. And because I can't really, I had a friend the other day who was trying to set me up with someone, and she was describing him. I'm like, he won't like me. I can really only go out like twice a month. I'm not a person who can like sit on the phone with somebody. I can't do any of that stuff. Like, I would just kind of see you when I see you, and no one's really up for that. So
How freshly single? How long have you been single?
Oh gosh, almost 4 years now.
Like, do you? I get a vibe from what you just said of like, I'm being a little self-protective.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was coming out. It probably hasn't been 4 years yet. What was that? Or yes, it has. 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 years.
Yeah.
It'll be 2 years this month, and next month, I think, in April. So yeah, it's a little self-protective, sure, but that's just because I love me so much.
Well, and in her defense too, I mean, not to drag the father of her children, but I didn't like neither one of them. So
You're saying her picker's bad?
it's a little bit. It's not great,
but like you said, there's not much to choose from. And they're like, and that's the thing too, because they loved me less than I love myself. So to get along with them, I kind of love myself less. It's for us to, and it never worked out.
Or you're just not in a space where you're being allowed to be yourself 100%. Because I feel like I witnessed that, especially in your last relationship. Like, it was pretty clear it was like he doesn't like you. He wants you to be different. Yeah, like that's not gonna work.
But I hated being alone, and then I loved living alone at a certain point. Like, once I kind of got comfortable, I read this book called something about loneliness. It was this great Christian book about loneliness, and like from then on, I was in love with being alone and being single, right? Like, because we often think like we got to have somebody. Well, you're single. You've been single for 4 years. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you married again? Why aren't you in love? Why aren't you doing this? Like, and I think that's an unhealthy thing. Like, if you just love being alone, then that's good too. Until you find somebody that like makes it worth it. Reagan was the only person I had met that was worth it. Like, I didn't date. We just like ran into each other.
Oh, where did you guys meet? I don't know you guys' meeting story.
I slid in her DMs.
Nice.
Ooh.
She like added me on Facebook in my Libertarian group, and I like started to chat her up, and then I saw she was dating somebody that I knew, and I was like, "What's up with that?" And then when that wasn't clearly going on anymore, I wanted the gossip, so I like.
What's the guys?
Like, hey.
What's the hot guys?
But then like that kind of got us talking, and after a few months we ended up dating because we just like enjoyed talking to each other. She's really smart. I require somebody that's intelligent and likes that I'm intelligent, and I'm not going to dumb myself down. And so she matches me intellectually. So and we have the same shared values. So it's sort of like, I don't know, like the first date, I knew immediately, like, this is the one. Like, it just was clear because this is the type of person that I don't mind them being around. They don't, because like you, it's like, I don't want the hassle. I don't need the hassle of somebody getting in my space.
That's what it is. Like, that's the thing. Like, I like spending time with myself. I mean, I haven't been single in a long, long time, but like, I feel like people act like there's nothing else you could be doing other than being in a relationship. There's so many things you could be doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's some peace that you get, or freedom, if you will, that we talked about before, like that you have when you don't, like, not having to consider somebody every time you make a choice, or being worried about how this choice affects them and everybody else. Like that, what's wrong with that? And I want my kids to be the kind of people that enjoy being with themselves, and you can get companionship from other people other than romantic relationships.
Yeah.
You can cultivate your family relationships. You can cultivate your friendships. You can still get that companionship. It doesn't always have to be a romantic thing. I don't want to discount the romantic thing because that is important, but I just feel like we're conditioned to feel like that's the most important thing, when really self-love, if I can teach my kids anything in this world, if before I close my eyes, is to love yourself fully. Because after you've done that, that can literally be the hardest thing you ever have to do inside your life if you're not already like Kat. You know what I'm saying? Like learning to love yourself, because there'll be so many messages you're getting outside of yourself and outside of maybe just your family that will reinforce maybe some of those little negative seeds that get planted. And if you're not careful, they can grow. So to me, I feel like, being alone gives you the opportunity to really know yourself and to be able to show up fully.
And that's one of the central messages of the book, is that you can't have a healthy relationship with somebody else until you love yourself.
Bigly. Amen. I think that's fantastic.
And that's a big problem with men. And believe me, like,
really?
That's why I recommend this book to my mostly male audience all the time. Like, it's not easy, like, trying to find an adult, mature man.
Well, sure, we're not conditioned. Men aren't socialized, for one, to even feel sad. Like, when I was talking about my son earlier, he was talking about that, about how a lot of the times he was saying too, a lot of the close relationships he has is with other women, because a lot of the men he talks to, he's like, they're not like me. They're not like the men I'm used to being, even growing up with, where they can communicate their feelings. Everything's gay, basically.
Yeah, what are you gonna cry, pussy?
Yeah, like everything. You're just gay. Like every feeling's gay except anger.
And I will be honest with you, and Brene Brown talks a little bit about this in one of her audiobooks, which is really good. women have a hard time with a man who is emotional. And she talks about this guy who came up, yeah, you just gave a speech on vulnerability, and my wife and 2 girls just bought your book, but they would rather see me die on top of my white horse than see me cry.
Listen,
and
that
and
part was so
I found
good.
that
was
like there's go ahead, yeah.
No, that part was good. I read that book too. That was fantastic.
Yeah, like there's when I started opening up, like you get friend zoned a little bit. Like I know that's not a great concept, but like there's a big thing in therapy that I had to learn was like holding back, keeping things close to my vest because of just what your son's talking about. Men and women don't like an emotional man.
Yeah. Or they say they don't. Because men don't necessarily like it when women get hyper emotional either. From what I've heard, that's not their fave, but it's still accepted as feminine. Like you don't see her as less of a woman if she gets like overly emotional. But like with a man, like I said, I never saw my dad cry until my grandfather died. And I was super shocked. And I think I was like 11. And because I'm like for 11 years, I've never seen this man cry. And I was scared at first, but then I thought I just extrapolated and I was like, well, yeah, this is my dad. He's crying. He's sad because his dad's dying. Like I think of how sad I'd be if my dad was dying. Like, I mean, I was sad my grandfather was dying, but I wasn't nearly as close to my grandfather as I was my dad. And so it made a ton of sense. And also too, like the way I think is weird. I'm my only child. So like, I'm real good with by myself. That's just going to be the way it is. But yeah, you sit back and because I didn't have any siblings to bounce things off of, I'm just going over stuff in my head and, observing adults and, the things that they're going through. But it's like, yeah, men are like, just like you said, with the, I can't remember which author. Oh, George R.R. Martin about writing women. It's like they're people. And it's like, yeah, men are people. They're not these sort of stand-ins for a god. Like, they're just some guy. He's some guy.
Yeah. It is kind of unfair. I do hate that for men because it like there's not a lot of latitude. There's not this huge spectrum that you get. You know what I mean? Like it feels very black and white. And it's like, yeah, that's not really awesome. And I certainly wouldn't want my son to feel that way. Like I want him to know, like, yeah, you can have feelings, but he's lucky. He's got a lot of really fantastic males in front of him who illustrate, that active kind of love and that kind of love where it's like, yeah, you're allowed to feel, your feelings can be hurt. Like that's a thing. So, but I can't imagine going a whole lifetime feeling like, okay, I can't truly express myself. And then you're put in a relationship situation and you're expected to be regular. You know what I mean? Like, obviously I'm not going to be great at this because I don't have any practice. So like, you're just practicing with people when you're meeting them and dating them and stuff.
You got to learn the language. Like if you don't know how to communicate, it's like, toddlers get mad and frustrated because they don't have the words to put to their feelings yet. And so, if we never like encourage people to develop emotional language to talk about their feelings comfortably, then it's, you're going
to get tantrums.
You get tantrums. I mean, literally, like I tantrumed this week, like, because I was having trouble expressing my, and she's just like, what's going on with you? Like,
what's the real problem? Yeah. And I think I did like at the beginning when he said, we're all relationship amateurs.
Yeah.
I liked that because it's like, yeah, I don't think anyone's like doing this on a professional level.
Hell no. And I hate when people say that, like, though, like you've been married forever. I mean, luckily, every day you never know what's coming your way. So I'm never looking at it like I've got this figured out. I've got the remedy. This is what you need to do because it's way more nuanced than that. My baggage isn't Chris's baggage, isn't your baggage. And we're all kind of working around what we've got and trying to make, the best choices we can. So luckily I've been lucky enough to be in a situation that has lasted, but it's not because we're so much better. We've got the remedy. We certainly do not, like we're just making the choice every day to try and to, like you say, like make time for each other, but also we're good apart, like I won't say lets me do this podcast, but he knew that I was like looking for a hobby, looking for something outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife. And you know, he's a master hobbyist. My husband, you bowl, you play chess, you like, he does everything all the time. And I'm like, man, I like hanging out with my friends. Like,
men cannot hang out with each other just to get together and have lunch and talk. Like, there has to be a shared thing that you're doing. Like, that's just the golden rule. Like, you can't look into each other's eyes. You've got to like bowl while you do it. Like, it's like,
right.
So you've got to have a hobby. You got to have good, clean fun. You got to have good, clean fun as a man. And I would also add to that, like, don't think you're special either. Like, you know, everybody's got their own baggage, but like, I always thought, like, I just remember admitting to my best friend at the time, like, I don't feel worthy of love. And that was like the most like shameful thing that I could possibly think. It was my deepest, darkest secret. And like, once I got to therapy, I realized literally everybody feels that way most of the time. Like, I was not special.
Except for Kat.
Yeah. I'm sure she has her moments.
I'm teasing her.
We all have moments of self-doubt, you know? I just think, you know,
I always did feel deeply deserving of love.
They will avoid therapy just because we think this or that, and like, then you get to therapy and realize it's all BS.
Because it's a human, human thought, you know, it's very highly human, but we always make ourselves so unique. It's just us. We're the only one. And so it's like, yeah, you can climb down from your cross that you whittled for yourself and just relax. Like, everybody feels like this. It's totally, you know, normal. Yeah. And I think when you can put it in that context, it's hard for everybody. Like, nobody's out here nailing it.
Hard. And you know what else is too, why a lot of times I probably haven't necessarily struggled with this particular issue? It's because I'm realizing now this was always a big theme on Star Trek. Like, throughout of it. Yeah, I've watched Star Trek my whole life. Seriously. It's a huge
Star Trek again.
I bring everything back to Star Trek. Either Star Trek or Rick and Morty. And I did it.
You're such a nerd.
Big time.
Yes.
Our listeners
you really
know.
Are like you are like a nerd.
Yes.
Like, a nerd. A real life.
Did you like date those nerdy white guys in high school because they took you to board game nights?
Oh God, I wish. No, like, I didn't get to do stuff like that. No, I wasn't really like all that dateable in high school. Like, it wasn't. Yeah.
There's a place on Mass Ave that just has board games.
Oh, I know.
You should go there and you'll meet a man.
My cousin does a board game podcast. Like, I come from nerds.
Okay.
We're nerds. we're nerd. Like,
they're adorable, fantastic.
My son, he
nerds.
was so sad when he was little because his sister, like his half sister, called him a nerd. She's older, and he looked up to her, and he was so hurt. And I was like, babe, you are a nerd. Like don't let that hurt you though. Everybody calling you a nerd now is gonna work for you one day. Like, you,
nerds be winning,
yes,
boy.
like, you're out here. I was like, you know who else is a nerd? Me. You know who else is a nerd? Your pawpaw. I was like, yeah, we're nerds out here. You better don't try to deny it. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
So yes, you're right to observe. I'm and the listeners know, they've been around. They know. It's not news to them.
It's adorable. That's what I love about her. But that's honestly, this is why I fuck with Kat, because to me, you know, to just lean into being yourself and like so apologetically, it's like, this is dope. I love that. I love anybody like that. So nerd or not, like, if I recognize that in you, I love it. I think that's fantastic, because it's hard to do, but it's so nice being around people who are like that, because they're not like sucking the life out of you.
But like, everything that's hard to do, eventually it gets easier.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it never gets easier. You just get better at whatever the thing is. Like, whatever, if it's hard, and it'll stay being hard. That's why everybody doesn't do it. That's why, you know, if it was easy, it'd be like going to McDonald's, like I did earlier. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was a failure. It was a personal failure.
Been desperate.
It was desperate.
9 times out of 10, it's a failure, and then one time you get good McDonald's. It's
no, even
joke.
The good McDonald's is a failure. Like, I'm trying to eat right. Like, there's nothing good about going to McDonald's. Like,
I don't need you sending me a menu of how to put chicken nuggets on my hamburger. Like, just make the hamburger good.
They're not. It's not good food, but it's on your way to everywhere, and today it was better than the feeling of hunger. Sometimes, and I'm not near home. I'm so far away from home. I couldn't even find a place.
Pro tip: order everything without salt. They have to make it fresh.
That I was also trying to be on time for this, so I couldn't pull into the little. It's like, ma'am, could you pull up to I was trying not to do that. I'm like, give me them old ass fries and that wilted hamburger. so I can technically have calories, so I won't be in a bad mood for this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
That's the truth.
Yuck, but that sandwich that they're trying to put out there now, the land, air, and sea or whatever bullshit that is, that's so nasty. They give you a chicken sandwich, they give you a fish fillet sandwich. No, and they're put them back in a Big Mac or something, and you're supposed to smush them all together.
It's just make it good. Just make the food good. Like when I was a kid, it was good.
Or were you a child? I used to vomit it. I remember my mom like made all of my meals except for on Fridays. If I was good, she would take me to get a Happy Meal. And I would finally, she put 2 and 2 together. It's like, this girl's vomiting every Friday. And she was like, oh, it's this stuff. But she just made me stop getting the nuggets. I just started getting the burgers. But you remember how the old McDonald's nuggets used to be, right?
Man, as soon as they weren't hot anymore, they were like rocks.
Yeah, they used to be like, it was real sus.
I don't think they were real chicken. I think that like came later.
Whatever it was, my body openly.
It was like a hot dog, a battered hot dog.
I had that with 5 years old. I projectile vomited from Long John Silver's, and I've never gone back.
Oh, well, yeah. Like I think
Long John Silver's.
Oh no,
I don't even know if that exists anymore.
Fast seafood is already just a problem.
It's yeah, exactly.
I think they like had fried shrimp at White Castle for a while. I was like, nope.
I'm good, fam. I'm passing on that one. So
no.
All right. Well, Kat, is there any part of this book that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about, or Chris? Is there anything we missed? Because I feel like,
let me look at my notes.
We've been around the block. I know we talked about the hero's journey and clinginess and kind of like the fear of change or whatever.
And you technically beat Dion. This was a better book than Milk in My Coffee.
So you won again.
You won again. Yeah, you're winning.
I'm competitive, so that's all I cared about.
I know. So that's the thing. I think there was one thing that I did pop in here that reminded me of, because we went to Catholic school together, me and Moni. And we used to always have to say the prayer of St. Francis every morning. And do you remember? Yes, I do. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace.
I don't remember it.
Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there's darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. Father, I ask that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love. Whereas for forgiving that we are forgiven, and through something we're born into eternal life. I got it. It got messy there at the end. But I like the part where it's in forgiving that we've forgiven. Because like we're expected we want to be forgiven because we're obviously imperfect, but sometimes we're so stingy with that we don't. But every time I forgive somebody, I know I'm actually forgiving myself.
That was a cool line. He had a line like, you can't get grace if you don't allow yourself to make mistakes.
Yep, that part. Yeah. And I wanted to touch on that. So yes, that was it.
All right, Chris, what about you? Anything else from the book that we didn't talk about that you wanted to pop in?
No,
there?
I think it's a great book. It's the one I've recommended the most to people. I think emotional health is highly underrated, and anxiety in our culture is exalted, and I think it's a huge mistake, and you don't have to live anxious and scared and upset. Like, you read this book just as a good, it's really well written, and it's an easy start. But, get some therapy, get your life together. You only have one go round. Like,
amen to
right?
that. And be good to yourself, and give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. I wanted to kind of close it off with, I like him talking about building community and doing work that makes you feel good, because that was one of his goals in his book, was to kind of like create this company and create a culture that lacked that anxiety that you're talking about and that people pleasing in it. Be in a space of true authenticity, and that resonates for me as well. So I just wanted to make sure that I encouraged our listeners to do that as well, because life is already hard. So try your best to be involved in things that you love to do, and be around people who lift you up and build you up and make you feel good. Because that's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we're talking to Chris. This is why we want to have these kinds of conversations. So you guys stay encouraged. It's rough out here, but stay encouraged, and hopefully you guys can check out this book. Should we rate the book real quick, Kat? You want to rate it?
Oh, shoot, I found it. I forgot to.
Do you have a rating?
I'll just be normal, 5 stars. Because this is the other thing too. This was our first book by a white man that we reviewed. I should have come up with something clever, because I wanted the first white man to be Tucker Max, but that's okay. I'll go.
You know what? The other book that The other book that totally changed my life was Mate by Tucker Max and Jeffrey Miller.
Did you ever listen to his podcast, The Mating Grounds?
Yes. The Mating Grounds changed my... I listened to it at the same time I read this book, and like in the aftermath of Scary Close, I listened to that podcast and realized, oh, if I want to be attractive to women, I need to make myself attractive by doing things that are attractive, like eating right, exercising, being smart.
Useful.
I never thought I was an intelligent or creative person at all till like 2015. And it was like then when I started to accept that, I was like, oh, this is why I'm attractive, because I'm funny, I'm this and that. Like that book, Mate, I recommend it all the time. Like it's
you have
the
to come
best
back for
guide
that
today.
one. Because I've been, I wanted to do a Tucker Max book for a really long time, and I've actually never read that one. I just listened to The Mating Grounds. I read like his fratire stuff, and of course he was really obnoxious, but he's a good writer. And then that made me follow him, and I learned so much about men just from listening to him.
Yep, it's a great book.
Yeah,
I didn't even know who he was. Full disclosure, guys.
Whenever we discuss him, she's like, "Who's that white man that you're always telling me to read?"
Talking about, yeah, I can't.
And I always know who she means. I'm like Tucker Max.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm actually copying. You know how they had like one like beta guy that they were like trying to help. Do you remember that, helping Joey or something? I'm doing that on my podcast about podcasting. I'm finding a guy and like doing like the sort of something similar, because I loved that concept. They were like, he'd come on and be like, well, I didn't text her back. What, are you an idiot? And I've actually become like friendly with Jeffrey Miller on Twitter and interacted with him because of that. Yeah, so he's a really interesting guy too.
I like people who are really trying to help people, like humanity, like just help these guys out. 'Cause usually relationship advice is given to women. So I like it when good practical dating advice is like, men, you do some stuff too.
Yeah. Then we can get together and maybe like each other.
Okay,
women. It was just like women don't like you. It's not that you're the nice guy. Oh, they don't like the nice guy. No, it's because you're a piece of shit stuff.
Oh, we cuss on here. It's a fake ass.
Okay, make yourself not a piece of shit, and women will like you.
Yeah, there you go. We're pretty easy. So yeah, it doesn't take much. Like the bar's pretty low, but I would give this. I'll just do a 3.5 stars because it's well written. It just wasn't for me. Because I'm already doing this.
That's fair. It's like I'm already nailing it,
it's
guys.
Killing it out here. So yeah. But I would probably a 5 for men.
A 5 for men. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think if I had to rate it, I'd give it probably 4.5. I'm trying to think, what's the whitest thing? I don't know, like a tip of the hat.
No, you can't do it now. You could have been, because we're not releasing this till April, because it's like kind of near St. Patrick's Day, because I feel like that's a very white holiday. So like 4.5 shamrocks or leaves or something.
You can do that.
Okay, we'll see. I'll probably edit all this out.
Well, then the whitest thing you could do is a Hitler salute to it.
No, don't put that on white people. That's just fascist. Our listeners are the nice white people.
Benign whiteness, just like
Stephen Colbert white.
Not like Master Race.
No,
gotcha.
Yes. Not the
I would edit this part out.
No Tucker Carlson stuff. Like just regular whites.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is shorts? Because I did read a book by this one guy.
Oh, khaki
shorts. Yes.
I give it
khaki shorts. Yes, because that was one of the things in a book I read called
with pockets on the side.
Another shout out to book stuff white people like.
Do black guys not wear khaki shorts?
I mean, they probably do, but it's
not cargo, not cargo shorts. No,
jean shorts.
Jean,
real stiff ones,
probably. If they wear,
those real stiff ones, the real big stiff ones. Yeah. But like, you're not really gonna see a whole lot of black dudes in shorts for real. Not really.
That's interesting. You're right. Yeah, they may wear basketball shorts, but never
just like casual, like going to brunch shorts. No.
I wear golf shorts a lot.
Yeah, those are brunch shorts.
Yeah, you're not gonna see black guys in that apparently.
No, not so much. No. Yeah, they're worried about their knees. So.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot there, but this was really fun. Thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time and input, and we really, really appreciate it. Like, we have a better podcast because of you.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure and a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. So I guess right now we'll take a quick break, and then Kat will come back and spin the wheel. All right, guys, welcome back. We're back from the break.
So relaxing.
I had a fantastic time with Chris. That was really, really fun.
What a delight.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate your time. And like we said before, he just gave us some really solid advice at the beginning of us starting the podcast. So we just wanted to shout him out for that. Also, I didn't even give him the, like at the end of Hot Ones when it's like, this is your time. This is your 30 seconds. Shout yourself out. This camera, this camera, this camera. So I didn't give him that. So you guys, obviously he's on the Pat Down with Miss Pat. He's got some other podcasts. We're going to leave all of his links for his stuff across social media in our episode description. And we have to spin our wheel, guys, to see what the hell we're going to talk about for next time. So how about we spin it?
What is it?
It's a fake stir. It's just going to be whatever we feel like. Because
okay. Listen.
reading is hard.
Reading is hard. And we've done a lot of it in the last couple weeks. So we're going to take a break and have a fake ass episode. So
It's like spring break time.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else we want to add before we get all the way out of here? You got anything?
I never get to express everything that's in my heart. So I'm used to just giving up before everything's out.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I think we've been pretty thorough. That was a long episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you again for hanging out with us. And I guess we'll just leave it right here.
Yeah, come back next Wednesday. We love you.
Come back, guys. Peace.
Bye.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music.
Buzz Viral Marketing runs our social media.
And legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins.
If you like what you heard,
Please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake ass book club.
cheers. Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.